Morning, everyone. So welcome to today's networking session, really. And the title is Networking Hacks for Entrepreneurs. I want to introduce Paul Smith. He's founded a number of companies in a variety of different industries and really varied things, from boat manufacturing to innovation consulting. And he currently is the CEO of Civitas, and he runs a CEO networking and peer learning organization. So it's really getting the networking together. Paul hosted, funny enough, the first online talk for Ort when COVID first hit. So obviously hugely experienced in this. And he found that he did a whole lot of studies and read, I think it's over 500 books. He found a few studies that showed that if an entrepreneur joined a top CEO network that was part of the right community, that your chances of success massively improve. And hopefully you're going to show and discuss that with us today and tell us what are the hacks from a networking point of view. So Paul, over to you.
Thanks, David. Thanks, guys. So lucky to be here. This is, I think, my first face-to-face presentation in 3 years. So different than Zoom, eh? Goodness, so nice to see everyone face to face, eh? So a little bit is like what David's been saying is that's me when I was a little bit younger and cuter. So the last 15 years I've really been trying to solve the problem of how do you help entrepreneurs succeed. So that's really been my career question, and it's been a bit of a winding journey. I was involved in academia for a bit. I ran an innovation consulting business. Read a lot of books, did a lot of the academic stuff, and then was involved in a startup boot camp where we worked with about 1,500 founders, helping them get their businesses off the ground with Microsoft. So that was a wonderful experience just to get to see so many different types of businesses. And then I now run an organization called Civitas. It's pretty much like a copycat organization to YPO and EO. Where what we do is we bring together similar but non-competitive founders, so usually groups of 6 people, and once a month they basically bring their hardest challenges in their business and basically help solve each other's problems. And it's been a real game changer for firstly me. It's been amazing to be able to sit in, because some of these businesses are decent sized, 50 million, 100 million revenue businesses, to be able to just sit in and actually learn from entrepreneurs on the ground as opposed to the more book knowledge. So it's really been a wonderful journey for me. But also, I think a lot of the entrepreneurs who've been part of the network, it really has changed their lives, which has been really cool. So basically what I'm going to talk a little bit about is an idea that I've become obsessed with about a year ago, which is this idea of compounding actions. So I don't know if any of you guys have seen that graph before. It's basically the idea that it comes from a book called Atomic Habits, really, really good book. And it's basically the idea that if you could just improve 1% every day for a year, you would be 37 times more productive, which just seems like absurd. Like there's no ways you could actually practically do that. And I was really taken by this book, Tiny Habits. So I kind of went on this mission to say, okay, cool, could I sort of optimize and set up my life in a way that you actually get this thing to happen? And what ended up happening is that almost over time, you just got overwhelmed with all of this stuff. You're meditating and then journaling and then doing, it's just like too much. And I just thought this is just like theoretical rubbish. You know, you could never actually practically make that happen in your life. And then I came across an article by a chap called Sam Altman. I don't know if any of you guys have come across him, but if you haven't, go check him out. He's amazing. He's one of sort of Silicon Valley's top thought leaders, used to be CEO of Y Combinator. And in that article, he spoke about once-off actions that would result in like a permanent improvement. So what I've called compounding actions. But the idea there is that imagine you could do something like once-off and you would get that permanent productivity bump in effectiveness. Well, then that graph becomes possible, where if you could stack every week, you could maybe do one thing that makes you slightly more productive. Over a couple of years, you're going to get that true compounding effectiveness, compounding growth, and basically your business and your personal life. And I was like, wow, that's a really profound idea. And kind of went on a mission to see like whether I could find those ideas and actually implement them in my life and in our business. And basically what I've done is I've collected a list of about 500 of these compounding actions, things that you can do once and you're going to get a permanent productivity improvement in your life forever. So you do it once off, but you get the benefit forever. So some practical examples is, I came across with Bill Gates, and there's a guy who runs Wolfram Alpha where you've got to be using 3 screens on your computer. And it really, straight away, if you guys haven't got a second screen on your laptop, straight away buying a second screen is about $1,000, 10% more productive straight off the bat. It's just amazing how much more productive you are having a little bit more screen space. So the way Bill Gates set his up is he basically has email on the one side, another screen, and then basically the working document there. Such a game changer. So I highly recommend getting a setup there. You do it once, you've got that sort of the rest of your life. The other sort of things that I've done is there's a software called Superhuman. It's amazing email software. If you guys, I don't know if you guys do a lot of email. I think if you're in the service businesses, you probably are. But basically, straight away there, you're going to get a 20% productivity bump. Usually, if you're spending an hour to get through 100 emails, you'll probably do it in about 35 minutes using Superhuman. So straight away, every day, you're getting half an hour of extra time if you're spending an hour on email. So that's something you can do once off, and for the rest of your career, you're a little bit more productive. The other thing was basically, I did a whole bunch of stuff around sleep optimization. So what are things you could do that once off would result in better sleep, which results in you having more energy, living longer, being healthier. So things like I went and got blackout curtains in my house, got a new mattress, a couple of things like that. So there are a whole bunch of things that we've done, things like setting up a really good folder system for your company, that everything's organized, things like a really good personal wiki where you can find everything in a single place, standardizing all the processes in the business, standardizing what you eat, like really healthy meals that you love, things like that, automating stuff with Zapier and Integromat. If you haven't looked into that, really, really cool stuff. So I thought I'd do today is some of the stuff that you could do that would be compounding actions around sort of the networking world. One of my favorite books that sort of really changed my life in a big, big way, if you haven't read it and you're a bit of a reader, I'd highly recommend putting it on your reading list, is a book called Triumphs of Experience. Don't know if anyone's heard of it before. Bit of a left field one. It's about a 200 million rand study where they followed the 268 most impressive people they could at Harvard in 1938. And they did the study where they followed them for their whole lives. And basically at the end of their lives, like 80 years on, they basically scored everyone's life on 10 dimensions. Like, did you have a happy marriage? Did you have a successful career? Did you have a contribute to society? Were you mentally healthy? A whole bunch of different things. And the idea there is that at the end of it, basically what they found is the one thing that predicted that you would end up having like a successful life on those 10 dimensions was your ability to build really great relationships with people. And if you think about it, it really makes sense. Like if you're really great at connecting with people, you're going to have a happy marriage, you're going to have great relationships with your kids, you're going to succeed in your career because you're good with people. So I think for me that really sort of changed the trajectory of my life, where I kind of really wasn't prioritizing relationships enough and really decided to make relationships a real priority in my life. So yeah, I think that in business it makes sense to basically really focus on that. Also, Sam Altman, the guy who basically I mentioned earlier from Y Combinator, if you're going to do anything impressive in the business world, you can't really do it alone. You're going to have to build a team around you to do anything anything that really matters. So that's obviously around relationships. So it's building relationships with really talented, smart people is a very clever, strategic way to go around actually building a great business career. So the first little tip is dream relationships. So the first thing I would suggest you do is really think strategically around what are the type of relationships or people that could really change your business. And there's a chap called Vern Harnish. I don't know if any of you come across him. One of the better books on entrepreneurship that I've come across called Scaling Up. So it's basically, he founded Entrepreneurs Organization. It's one of the world's biggest CEO networks. I think they've got about 20,000 members. And basically what he's done is modeled out sort of step by step, how do you take a company from sort of early stage right up to sort of a 500 million rand company. And basically one of his ideas is that find the top 25 people that would change the game for your business and build relationships with those type of people. So who basically might have a massive network to all of your customers, that if you built that relationship, they could maybe potentially open up that network. Who maybe is an influencer that if they would publish or basically be willing to do some kind of PR around your business, would give you massive media exposure. What are those 25 relationships that you should be pursuing? So that would be my first little tip on is actually think strategically around that and take some time and actually put together that list. The second thing is getting really good then at connecting. So some of the connecting habits is most founders don't really have like a real system to sort of think about how do you deepen relationships, how do you prioritize getting to know people, and then how do you have a system where you sort of deepen that knowledge over time. So I don't know if any of you guys have come across the book by Harvey Mckay. I think it's Swim with the Sharks, or I've actually gone pulling a blank here, and not to get eaten. But basically Harvey Mckay built one of the biggest envelope companies in the States in the 80s and early 90s. And basically he did it just built on relationships, and he came up with a really cool thing. If you Google it, it's online. It's called the Mckay 66. And it's basically 66 questions he would force his whole sales team to get to know about his customer. And it was basically everything from like, where did they go to school? What are their kids like? What are they like? What are their favorite foods? Like everything that you would almost know about a best friend. And every time they had a sales meeting with a customer, they would just basically update this list of 66 questions until over a period of a couple months, they basically knew the customer super, super well, like really intimately. And through that relationship, they ended up landing some huge percentage of the Fortune 500 companies that would then buy envelopes from this company, just because they really prioritize getting to know these customers. So I think it's a really powerful thing. I really struggled with that format. So I've taken a slightly different approach where every time I meet someone, I want to learn 3 new things about them. And then after every meeting, I just have a Google folder with everyone's name. And straight afterwards, I then just go update a couple of new things I've learned about that person. The next time I meet with them, I basically just review the folder. And it's amazing if you can, with your customers, go, oh, so how's Johnny? Or how was that last trip? Like, people really appreciate that you've taken the time to basically remember and actually care enough about them. And that little thing, I think, makes a huge difference in building relationships with people. Such a simple thing to do, but if you did that with each customer, just after each Zoom call, you just added a couple of notes, and before each Zoom call, you just reviewed it, absolute game changer in the ability to really deepen relationships. And then the other thing that's a huge difference in basically building relationships is staying top of mind. So basically most people make buying decisions on what's top of mind. So you need a way where you can connect in an authentic way with people where they're going to actually remember you. So there's a guy who I absolutely love, one of Silicon Valley's top CEO coaches. He coaches guys like Naval, if you into sort of the whole tech world. Sam Altman, he coaches him, but he coaches basically most of the billion-dollar tech companies in Silicon Valley. And he's written a book, The Great CEO with Win. If you haven't read it, amazing, amazing, amazing. Such a brilliant book. But what his suggestions are around connecting is whenever anyone does something nice for you, let them know, thank them. His other tip is whenever you think about something or see something relevant, you might see an article, it gets you to think about a customer, just forward on that article. It's a very authentic way to connect with people where, hey, I saw your house, or hey, I saw this billboard of yours. Very cool. You just take a photo and send it. It takes a couple seconds, but you basically just staying top of mind by just engaging like a friend would engage with someone. Another way to do it, which is, I tried it for a little bit, but kind of canned it because it was just a little bit too much time. But actually what he does is he suggests half an hour every week. The last thing you do on a Friday is basically you make a list of everyone in the week who's had an impact on you, and you just write a little 1-sentence, 2-sentence thank you note to those people. It was really cool when I did it, but yeah, things got a little bit busy. But yeah, that was a fun way. So some other connecting compounding actions is learn the Mckay 66 by heart. So it's something you could do once off, and you would have those 66 questions whenever you're in a client meeting to sort of deepen that relationship. Turn solo activities into community activities. So if you're a runner, instead of going and running alone, go and join a running group. You're going to meet people every week, every time you run. Automatically, you're going to start growing your network a little bit. Very cool thing that we've got a couple of our community members to do is an advisory board. But instead of setting up a formal advisory board, an advisory dinner. Go find the 5 or 8 most impressive people who on that list, 25, invite them to be advisor, host a dinner once a quarter, basically present your company strategy, and basically start building relationships with those people. Real game changer thing. Other one is set up and join rock pools. So one of the M&A firms that's part of our network, their basically strategy to land deals is they find all of the communities, or what they call rock pools, where their customers belong to, and they just join all of those networks. So if you did a little bit of research and said, okay, what are the 5 or 10 organizations that my customers belong to, and you just join those networks, one sort of action that could really change your business. Another one, adding a calendar link to the bottom of your email to enable customers to book, and then just optimizing your LinkedIn profile that actually really represents you well. So when you do an invite, people are kind of impressed by you. Don't know, any other? Yeah.
You mentioned that emailing thing, habits. No, it wasn't.
Superhuman.
Superhuman. What does that do?
So basically, what it does is it's really fast and basically teaches you to use the keyboard. So it just takes what you would usually do to get through email, teaches you a lot of shortcuts. There's a whole bunch of templates. It just takes like what you would usually do an hour of email into sort of 25 minutes. If you're interested, I can find there's another article, because I think it's like $30 a month, so it's not the cheapest software. There's an article written by Andreas, I think, Chrissa, on how to set up your Gmail, which is, I say, 80% of what Superhuman is. So it's like auto-advanced on your email, so when you click to the next one, it goes. It's setting up all the shortcuts, so instead of actually clicking everywhere, you just hit a button. But you really do get through email like 50% of the time. It's like a real game changer. Yeah. Yeah, so what we did is, talking about what Dave's, the study thing. So I was a nerd in the whole academic world. I got obsessed with ideas like, how do we move the odds that a founder would succeed? Because I thought, like, if we could create a good barrel, like you move to Silicon Valley, odds of building a big company go through the roof. Move to Israel, go through the roof. You're born Jewish, more likely to succeed. How could we create a good barrel in South Africa? And if we could help a whole bunch more people succeed, guess what? We solved the job problem, and basically the time rises for everyone. So what we did with Civitas is we said, how do we basically create that good barrel for entrepreneurs? And we optimized for 3 things. Basically, 1, learning. How do you improve a founder's rate of learning? 2, how do you give them like a really good network? And 3, how do you like nudge them in the right direction to actually do things that are going to make their business succeed? So what we did is, one of the studies I found was a YPO study. So YPO is an organization, about 36,000 business owners. You've got to be doing like 200 million rand in revenue. But I found this one study, and Keith Fannon's in the book, that if companies joined YPO, their odds of going from a $50 million company to a $1 billion company was something like 30 times more likely belonging to YPO. I was like, oh my God, what is this YPO organization? So I went and learned everything about YPO. So we basically took the YPO model and we tweaked it a little bit and added in a couple of other things that we had got from research. And basically what happens at YPO and Civitas is we bring together 6 or 7 founders once a month, and they bring their hardest challenge that they're facing in their business. And everyone then shares, oh, this is how I solved that in my business. So it's very much an experience here. Now, what's really cool about that learning forum is you get to see what other people's challenges are, and you learn the unknown unknowns. So you might even not know that your lead generation process is quite weak, but someone goes, I'm really struggling with leads, and then you learn about a whole bunch of other stuff. Oh, and then you go, okay, cool, you try that, and suddenly your business takes off. So it's quite a cool way to basically just layer in the business knowledge. Yeah, so that's and we got a couple of other stuff. If you want to go offline, I can basically take you through it and share a little bit more about it. Yeah. Cool. Sure. Awesome. So I think we're going to do some networking. So at Civitas, what we do is we do a 25-minute speed networking session. So we're going to follow the same format. So a quick intro of you and your business. What do you do? Your name and your business. Who's your ideal customer? So if someone in the room knows someone, they can put you in touch. The other thing is supplier requests. So what are you looking to buy? So if someone else in the room can then maybe go, okay, cool, I'm looking for a social media freelancer, or I'm looking for what service provider are you looking to use? And then what we do at Civitas is we have a different mentor process where we don't look at mentoring as an ongoing thing. We look at it as a once-off thing. I have a problem. Someone meets with me for a coffee for an hour and shares how they solved that problem. So if you have any mentor requests like, hey, I would love help getting leads, or I'm looking to open a company in Mauritius, has someone done that before? One mentor request if you want one, and then a mentor offer. So I'm really good at whatever you're really good at, and I'm happy to basically meet with you for 25-minute Zoom call or coffee and share how I did that in my business. So I'll start off, and then I think we just go around the room quickly. Cool. So Paul, Civitas, we run a CEO network. Our ideal customer is business owners, sort of from early stage to the 100 million revenue. Supplier requests, currently at the moment we're looking at redoing our website, but we're wanting to do it amazing. So someone who's got incredible design skill, we want to build a brilliant website. And then we're also looking for a social media freelancer at the moment. Mentoring, where my sort of real skill set is early stage, like if you're looking to launch an idea, get the first 100 customers, that's sort of where I'm happy to do a coffee and share with anyone else. So over to you, Dave. Yeah.
On the spot.
On the spot, eh?
Okay. So I do lecturing at different business schools, but one of the things that we launched recently is an online game where you learn strategy and finance by playing the game. And my ideal customer that's part of the problem. I'm not sure who the ideal customer is. I don't know if we should be selling it into companies or individually. Supplier requests, nothing really at the moment, but definitely if I can double up the mentor instead of the supplier request, is kind of somebody who's launched a game online, and what's the best model to launch something like that. Cool. I would like to thank Paul Smith for sharing these unbelievable networking hacks for entrepreneurs. I'm sure if we use just a little bit of what you've shown us, it will have that atomic effect, as you spoke about, the little habits having a massive impact. So thank you once again for sharing your knowledge with us. I'm David Zeidel, and I'll see you next time with Ort Jet.